As leaders, we pour into everyone else, our teams, our organizations, our families, but we forget to refill ourselves. And the truth is, we can't lead effectively when our tank is running low. Tonight, on our Leaders in Motion series, as we continue, we're talking about something every leader faces, but few talk about it openly: leading on empty. Because when your tank is low, your impact is too. This is the 30. Let's go. Well, good evening, leaders. Glad to have you with us. Thank you for joining us on this episode of our ongoing series, Leaders in Motion. Glad you decided to join us. This is the fourth episode of the series, and we've had an incredible journey so far. If you remember, we started off with our first episode of this series was Comfort is the Killer of Leadership. Then we moved into episode 2, which we talked about excuses don't build leaders, actions do. Then our third episode, we talked about if you're not moving, you are losing. Well, tonight we are going to hit in a different space, more of the critical side of leadership, more of the personal side, and we'll talk about stop leading on empty, folks. Leaders, stop leading on empty. Because motion without maintenance leads to burnout. I'll say that again. Motion without maintenance lead to burnout. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Stop leading on empty. This is part 4 of our Leaders in Motion series. So we're going to get real. We are going to get real. We're going to get transparent. We're going to call a spade a spade. So let's get going. The bottom line is, if you are a leader, if you are new to leadership, if you've been a more tenured leader, experienced in leading teams, you know how leadership is. It is demanding. It is frustrating. People have expectations of you, and so we have the pressure from others and the expectation from others. But we also have expectations of ourselves, and we put pressure on ourselves to basically succeed. So we have both external expectations, external pressures, and we have internal expectations and internal pressure. So it is demanding. It is frustrating. It is tiring, but it's also rewarding. See, every decision that we make, every meeting, every responsibility requires energy, requires focus, and requires our presence. But there are a large majority of leaders have either gone through leading on fumes, or they're actually experiencing it right now, where they are leading, but they're running on fumes. So let's be real. Most of us have been there. I've been there. And I know a lot of other leaders that have been there or are even experiencing it right now because we give a lot. We keep serving. We keep giving of our time. We keep serving others. We keep showing up. We keep leading, even when we don't feel like it, when we're empty inside, where we can't give anymore. But that's leadership. So tonight, I'm going to take some time and I'm going to break it down for you. We're going to talk about how to recognize when your leadership tank is low. Second, we're going to talk about how to restore your energy and mindset. And then lastly, we'll talk about how to build habits and systems that keep you leading from a place of overflow and not exhaustion. So those are the three things that we're going to be talking about on this episode, which is called Stop Leading on Empty. The first thing that we want to talk about, the first step, is in terms of stopping burnout. Because as I said, we've all experienced burnout once or twice, maybe more than that in our leadership lives or our leadership journey. And I know some of you are even experiencing it right now. So the key here is that the first step of this is really admitting when it's happening. Recognizing that our tank, our energy tank, our leading tank is low, that we are running on fumes. That's the first thing, is really admitting it, right? Admitting it says, you know something? I don't feel like it today. I don't feel like it this week. I have been running on empty. I've been giving everything. I've been serving everyone. I've been laying it out on the line. But all of a sudden, I've hit the wall. I've hit the wall and saying, I can't do it anymore. I've done everything that I can. So the first thing that we need to recognize in terms of leadership is that we are in a low tank, that we're in a low season, that our leadership tank is low. So as leaders, that's the first thing. Maybe you are, a good way to recognize that is maybe you're being short with your team. Maybe you feel disengaged in meetings. Maybe you're accomplishing tasks, but you're missing the joy. I'll say that again. Maybe you're accomplishing tasks, but you're missing the joy that you once had. Or maybe someone is saying to you, hey, or saying to others, what happened to such and such and such? He or she used to be so happy and joyful, but now we don't see that anymore. So others may recognize it in you, and they may bring it to others' attention, who may bring it to your attention. But we need to recognize when our leadership tank is low, because we may fall into the category. I was doing a teaching on yesterday, and we were talking about succession planning. And one of the things that we discussed was this concept of quiet quitting. So you might, because of your leadership tank so low, you may fall into the category of quiet quitting, where you are there in person, but you're not there in mindset. You're there physically, but you're not there in mindset mentally. That's so quiet quitting when you go through the motions, but you're not accomplishing what you should be. So quiet quitting is when you go through the motions, but you don't have the passion or the purpose or the joy that you once had. And that's a real thing. Quiet quitting is a real thing. If you look at the statistics, it's amazing. I looked at a study back in 2022, and it talked about over 50% of all workers that were studied, 50% were at that point of quiet quitting. That's a huge number. I don't know where it is today, but I would probably safe to say that it's probably more. So as leaders, because of our leadership tank is so low, from time to time, we may be in that number of the quiet quitters and not know it or not want to admit it. So, what is the impact of quiet quitting or the impact of not recognizing that your leadership tank is low? It's the impact on your team, the impact on you personally. So, your team personally, but it's also the impact on the organization. So, you're not as productive as you once were. Your team is not as productive as it as it once was because you have been drained. You're leading on empty. You see it, your team sees it. The key here is to recognize it, but more importantly, not just recognize it, but do something about it. The good news is that you can recover. You can recover and refill your tank. So how do we do that? Let's walk through and talk about how can we refill our tank, because that's the good news. All is not lost. We can what we call refuel that tank and get back to where we once were. We're feeling good about ourselves. We are joyful, right? We have that smile back. We have that swagger back. So you can reconnect to your purpose. So all is not lost. But let's talk about it. We know that it's not a one-time thing because refueling doesn't happen by accident. It is deliberate, it's intentional, and it's a process. So if you treat it as such, you will get back to where you once were, even better than you once were. So again, it's intentional, it's purposeful, it's a process that we have to go through. So how can we get there? By a number of ways. We can increase our prayer time, our study time. That's one way of doing that. We can also get more rest because sometimes our leadership tank is low because we're not getting enough rest. I know that used to be me, right? You've heard me talk about this on a number of episodes. So I'm getting better at it. I'm getting a little bit more rest, but I can always do better. So get more rest. Do some reflection. Really talk about and be honest with yourself. Where am I? Where was I before as a leader and with my team, with myself? And where am I now? Have some reflection time. Take some time out to reflect on what's taking place. Then exercise, whether it's walking, if you pick up walking, that can happen, right? If you pick up some form of exercise, but it's all about that. It's about getting the physical movement going. Keep moving. Spend more time with family. Take some time for family. Sometimes we are going so much. We are going nonstop. If there were 26 hours in a day, we would probably take 26 hours. But we need to take time out in order to refuel our tank. And another way of doing that is spending time with family, recognizing what's important. What is your why? So if family is your why, recognize that and spend time with your family. Or simply take time to exhale. If you like the water, spend some time at the water. If you like traveling, travel. But spend some time to exhale, to just breathe. Get away from the work, to just take some time off and just breathe. So the bottom line here, the bottom line of refueling that tank, here's the most important part. Focus on your self-care. Because if you don't, you will always be running on low or next to low. So focus on your self-care. You take care of everyone else. We serve everyone else. We give to everyone else, but we're not giving to ourselves. So self is saying that's not fair. And our bodies sometimes may tell us that we're not doing the right thing, whether through illnesses or sickness or disease. Our body may tell us that. So take care of yourself, leader. Refuel your tank so that you can be productive and effective as a leader once again. So, as leaders, what happens? We schedule time for everything. We schedule time for everything. We schedule time for everyone else. But I'm telling you today, schedule time for you. Spend some time refueling that leadership tank. Invest in you. Hashtag invest in you. Invest in a coach. Go to a seminar, go to a training. Actually, you can go to the impact training that we'll have, right? Invest in a coach, invest in someone, spend time with others. Because when you do those things, when you start to refuel that tank, clarity and creativity returns. The excitement returns. Now you're feeling more recharged. So take time for you. A leader's well-being is crucial for your team's success. I'll say that again. A leader's well-being is crucial for their team's success, because if you're down, your team mirrors you. They're not going to be as effective and productive as they can. So you're limiting their success by you not taking care of yourself. So take time to refuel. That's number 2. So what do we do next? Here's the thing. Healthy leaders build habits that protect their energy, not just short term, but long term. Healthy leaders build systems and habits that protect their energy. There's something called leading from overflow, not exhaustion. So sustainability, right? So leading from overflow, not from exhaustion. That contrast, that's very different from the traditional way of leading, where we work, even when we are at low as a leader, when our tank is low, we still go. It's a little bit different, right? So we're leading now from the overflow. We're focused more on resilience and a more impactful approach. So how do we get there? So leaders don't wait for burnout to happen. My suggestion, my advice, my recommendation is don't wait. When we look at leading from overflow, these types of leaders don't wait to burnout to refuel. Instead, what they do is that they build habits proactively and they build systems proactively. They're not reactive when the tank is low. They are proactive. So they're building before it takes place, so that if it does happen, they know already what to do. So here's how we can be proactive in building healthy habits and healthy systems to ensure that we're leading from overflow as opposed to leading from exhaustion. Number 1, leaders that do this focus on spiritual renewal. Number 2, they establish time boundaries. Number 3 is that they look at and become and expect greater accountability from themselves, but more importantly from their team members or those around them. And they build trust within their teams. These are some of the habits that they have, that they're proactive, as opposed to reactive and waiting until they are empty, then to start action. So leadership doesn't have to be running faster all the time. Effective leadership can come from running wiser. So use wisdom, leaders. Sometimes we want to keep running. We want to outrun everyone. But what happens as we're running? We're emptying our tank if we're not proactive in employing those habits that I talked about. So it doesn't always have to be running faster. It can be, and it should be, running smarter. Be wiser in the things that you do. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what helps you recharge as a leader. So if you're watching this live or if you're watching it in replay, you can drop it in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you've done? What are some of the habits or systems that you've put in place proactively that keeps you charged? Or some of the things when you run low that you've put in place to help you recharge as a leader? So you can drop those comments in the chat, whether live or in replay. Love to hear from you. So talking about refueling and energizing, I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm re-energized. I told you this summer, I took some time off. I took some time off from the 30, took some time off from work to really recharge and reset, right? And refocus. And now I'm running on a fully charged battery. So watch out. I now have the systems in place. I now have the habits in place that I can focus on becoming the leader that I'm called to be and the leader that I should be. And saying that, speaking about refueling and recharging and re-energizing, here's what I'm going to say to you. We are excited. And this is an early announcement. You're going to hear it right here first. Right? We haven't even announced it to any of our communities, anyone that is in that is part of the Connect community. We haven't announced it there yet. You're hearing it here first because you're watching the 30. And we're going to make a formal announcement either tomorrow or Monday. But I'm excited to announce, if you are in the Rochester area, I'm going to tell you to mark your calendars for Monday, October 28th. That's Monday, October 28th. If you're in the Rochester, New York area, because we're going to start this first as an in-person event. We may look at it down the road as a virtual event, or we may go to different cities and do this. But we're hosting our very first Leaders and Entrepreneurs Connect event. So this is going to be a space where leaders from all different markets, segment markets, whatever you do, profit, non-for-profit, business, leaders from all spaces, all markets, entrepreneurs and professionals. I'm inviting you to come together to connect, collaborate, and grow. It's an opportunity to share ideas, exchange insights, collaborate, meet each other, and strengthen the leadership community. So again, this is an in-person event. It's in Rochester, New York only, or the surrounding areas if you want to drive in for it. But you'll hear a lot more details about it in the next couple of days. It's October 28th. Stay tuned. Look at all of our socials, the Jackman Group social, look at my social, and you will get more details. So consider this as your official save the date. That's October 28th. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have you there as we come together for our Leaders and Entrepreneurs Connect. Well, folks, as we prepare to close this episode of Stop Leading on Empty, here are a couple of takeaways for you. A couple of nuggets, I would call them, from this episode. First nugget is, you can't lead well if you're running on empty. You cannot lead well if you're running on empty. You can't be an effective leader if you're running on empty. You may do it short term, But in the long term, things will start to suffer. The second nugget I'm going to give you is leaders in motion need rest just as much as they need drive. I'll say that again. Leaders in motion, because this is all about leaders in motion, the series about leaders in motion. Leaders in motion need rest just as much as they need drive. So, folks, take time this weekend, take time this weekend to refuel spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. Take time. Recharge, refocus, replenish. All right? So that's your challenge. That's my challenge to you for this weekend so that you can lead with overflow versus leading on empty. That's about it. I want to thank you for being here on the 30 as we continue our series, Leaders in Motion. Do me a huge favor. Like this episode, share it with someone else, drop us a comment, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the 30 with the series, Leaders in Motion. Mark your calendar if you are in the Rochester area, Monroe County area, or even Syracuse or Buffalo for our Leaders and Entrepreneurs event. It is 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Check out, look for details coming forth. We'll talk with you soon. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep making an impact. May God bless you and your family. We'll see you next week.